So today I wanted to explain to you why I ended up buying this arcade machine. What are the benefits of using one? What are some of the challenges of owning one? And then also whether I would recommend that you purchase one for yourselves. I ended up buying this particular unit from Game Room Solutions. I bought it a few years ago, so they did not give me this unit for free. Game Room Solutions makes a variety of different arcade units. They have smaller tabletop size ones. They have larger freestanding ones that can accommodate up to 4 players. They also have video pinball machines and a variety of other products, including just the components such as the MDF boards to put the arcade together, or you can even buy fully assembled units for about $1,000 US, depending on, of course, which particular options you go with. And actually, as of today, I ended up going on their website and they have a very neat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles machine, which I think looks very neat. So what is this machine exactly? Well, this is basically a Raspberry Pi 3. It's a tiny little PC. You can think of it this way. And then you have a variety of components running in the back. And ultimately, this allows you to play a few thousand different games, which are run as emulators, which are basically programs that allow you to run games from a variety of older systems, anything from Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and of course, a wide variety of different arcade games. Of course, the vast majority of the menu system here is fully customizable. I ended up choosing a system that allows you to see not only a little video preview of the actual game, but you can also see on the side some additional information about when the game was released, who the developer is, and then on the bottom you can see the list of games that I've loaded into this particular section. You can of course tag games that are your favorites. This way, you don't have to go through a list of a few hundred games potentially. You can just narrow it down to maybe a few dozen that are your favorites. So one of the things you will see that ended up also adding are some IKEA lights. One of the big things that I'm into is trying to reuse old technology. So these IKEA LED lights were initially designed for cabinets, but I figured that if I already have them and I'm not using them, might as well put them to good use. So I added them to the back so that they can provide some additional illumination. So what are some of the benefits of owning a unit such as this? Well, the first benefit is that in many ways, this is what I refer to as functional art. Whoever sees this particular unit is immediately drawn to it. It doesn't matter if they're young, old, male, female, somebody who plays games or does not. There's just something about this particular machine which draws people's attention. And I always find it interesting that not only does it appeal to older generations that ended up playing actual arcade machines, but even to younger generations who maybe think that, when they see these types of games, they maybe think that they're pixel art games, but in reality, of course, that's just the way things were due to technical limitations at the time. The second benefit of owning this machine, of course, is the versatility and variety of games. There are currently about 1,000 games on this unit, and that variety can grow over time. Most notably, after I upgrade this machine to a Raspberry Pi 4, that's going to open up a whole series of other games from the Dreamcast generation. And then the third benefit of owning this machine is, of course, that you can customize it. If you over time decide that you want different buttons or a different joystick, maybe you want to add more powerful speakers, then of course you do have the ability to make those changes. Whereas very often if you buy a different pre-assembled unit, of course that's going to be a little bit more limited and you may need to do some additional engineering to change some components that are usually hardwired. As always, there are a number of cons of owning this unit that you should be aware of before buying one. First of all, there's the whole aspect of cost. Although $1,000 or so is not very expensive, nonetheless, it would be a better purchase for you to buy something like a PlayStation 5, one of the current generation consoles, if you do not already own one. I think something like that would give you much more enjoyment in the long run rather than an arcade machine that plays retro games. The second con is related to actually one of the benefits. Although you can customize this unit quite a bit, it also means that you need to be somebody who is at least somewhat familiar with putting things together and also being able to go in and tweak changes in the actual software. For example, if something goes wrong, then it can require some technical expertise to fix, and not everybody's comfortable with this. And then the final con is the fact that a lot of the software that's really built into this machine is of course developed by volunteers. What this means is that over time, if people stop developing or providing updates for the arcade machine, or whenever the newer versions of Raspberry Pi boards come out, that ultimately means that you could be limited to how much expansion there is in the long run. Ultimately, should you buy this machine? I would say if $1,000 is not a major challenge for you, and you're somebody who grew up in the whole arcade era, I think something like this can be a worthwhile purchase. I find that it's something that brings back a sense of nostalgia, and as well, it's an interesting conversation starter whenever people see it, especially if you have the room to put something of this size in your home. On the other hand, I would say if you're maybe somebody who's not technically inclined, if you're not willing to play around with the settings, if you're not really looking forward to potentially having to add new components, I would say in this case, it may be better to go with a pre-made solution, maybe one of the units from Arcade 1UP. Those units tend to be smaller, however, they tend to be much more plug and play. Of course, you do have some limitations that they typically come with obviously a much smaller number of games pre-installed, unless of course you go down the modding route. Okay, so that's it for this video. Again, if you have any specific questions or suggestions, please be sure to leave them in the comments below. I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching and see you next time.